Hey, don't trust this man. My name's Steven. So today we're going to combine, this is a combination of Chris's. Ooh, it's like that movie by that, or that book by that guy, Abundance of Sarahs or Multiplicity of Jennies. My brother Chris, hey Chris, and my friend Chris, hey Chris, both sent me notes about how it might be fun to talk a little bit about this political situation. I think one of them said, what about this? What's the deal with Christians and Trump? I don't know. Have a good night. I've been thinking about it a lot, and I always think about like, what's the point, right? What benefit will there be to the thing I'm about to do? So in this case, what benefit is there to what I say? I guess if I can be churchy for a minute, I want my words to be edifying, if I may. So Chris's, let me do this. I may not, as you know, address your questions in the way you would like me to or in the way you envisioned me addressing them. But this is what I think of when I think about the current political state, and in particular when I think about Christians supporting Donald Trump. I don't honestly know exactly how, or I don't exactly understand the thought process behind supporting Trump for president. But let's put that aside, because there are people watching this, and there are people in my personal life who don't understand how I, as a Christian, can support Hillary Clinton. So, okay, let's agree to disagree on politics or on the way we approach taxes or the way we approach foreign policy. Let's just set that aside. Let me say these things, though. This is what's most disturbing to me about the way some believers, some followers of Christ, have handled this election cycle. It's not that they've supported a person who holds views and who proposes actions that I find reprehensible and inappropriate. It's that in supporting that person, their support has been blind. That's my concern, okay? That's what gives me pause. And here's what I think has happened. And I want to say two things about this, and then I'll be done. The second thing I hope is more hopeful than the first, because I was thinking about this and I thought, oh, silver lining. But first, though, here's what I think has happened. I think there are those believers who so desperately want either one person to lose or the other person to win so bad that they're willing to compromise reality and the truth to win. Ultimately, for me, it comes down to power. It comes down to this idea that sort of permeated Christian culture, the idea of winning, the idea of being in control, the idea of controlling the way society works, the idea of telling people how to behave even if they're not believers, the idea of legislating morality and imposing our faith upon others. Ultimately, I think there are those in America today who are purely and unabashedly being driven by, this won't be a surprise if you know me, by their fear of the other, by their fear of people of other races, by their fear of people of other sexual orientations or gender identities, by their fear of women. What's most daunting to me is not that there are Christians who are going to vote for Trump. It's that there are those Christians who have looked for ways to ignore the realities of his candidacy simply because they want Christians to be in control. They want to retain power. They want to feel safe. They want someone to, they want a seat at the table. And here's the thing, as believers, we're not called to have a seat at the political table ultimately. That's not our first goal. Our first calling as Christians isn't to make America great again. Our first call as believers is to love as we have been loved. It's not to build walls. It's to go to those on the other side of those walls, of that potential wall, and to serve them. It's to clothe the naked, to feed the hungry, to take in the homeless. Now, let me hasten to add that I'm not great at doing any of those things. I sin by acts of omission more than I would care to confront. But I know that's my call. I know that's not what I was made to do. I wasn't made to make sure that America returns to some level of greatness or retains some level of greatness. I wasn't called to make sure that people of foreign descent stay away. I wasn't called to make sure that people of a particular religious faith can't get into this country. In fact, if I take God and his call in my life seriously, I'm called to consider those who are foreign. and those who have no place to be, and in some way to attempt to make them feel welcome and safe. Listen, I get it. I'm fascinated by politics. I'm going to vote for Hillary Clinton. I think that she is the best candidate for president in this electoral cycle, in this election cycle. But she's not my great hope. And if Trump's elected, I don't have to despair. There is more for me to do as a believer than to worry about who becomes president. There is more. My life as a follower of Christ is predicated upon more than who is the president. I have been sent not to serve in the context of a Republican or Democratic president or a Republican or Democratic controlled house. So I've been sent to serve because that's my call. I've been sent to love because I've been loved. I've been loved perfectly. I've been loved when I've been wrong. And so back to my original point, the thing that's most unnerving, particularly in the wake of the recent revelation around some of Trump's remarks around women. Listen, if you want to still vote for Trump, okay. But let's at least call those remarks what they were. Those remarks were descriptive of sexual assault. Can he be forgiven for that? Sure. Can he experience absolution in the eyes of God? Sure. But can we have do we have the courage to say that's what those things were? That's all. Because we are surrendering our relevance in society for what we think is control in society. How can we say we're a place of healing if we can't admit the brokenness around us, the brokenness in people we think we want to be leaders? Does that make sense? It may not make any sense. Chris, my friend, my brother's my friend too, but Chris, my friend, not my brother. One other thing I want to say, and then I'll be done. I was having this conversation with my wife. Don't despair. Not every Christian supports Trump. He doesn't speak for me. James Dobson doesn't speak for me. Anybody in the Falwell family, they don't speak for me. I believe there are tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of Christ followers in this country today who don't support Trump, who don't support racist, misogynistic, and divisive policies, behavior, or speech. The thing is, they just may not be on Facebook getting into pointless arguments. They may not be at rallies. They may actually be serving their neighbors. They might be too busy loving other people to worry about this nonsense happening in the political arena. Don't lose hope. There are throngs and throngs of people who see in Jesus an example worth following. And for whatever happens in the election, for whatever happens in the next debate, whatever happens in the next 24-hour news cycle, there are many among us who understand that our greatest call isn't to win elections, isn't to retain power, isn't even to seek power. Our greatest call is to lower ourselves and to serve. And we fail at that call every day, but every new day we get up and say, maybe this is our prayer, and maybe it can become our prayer. Make me a blessing to somebody. Man, I know, God, I know how horribly cheesy that sounds. But what if that's how all of us started our day? Not how can I get this person elected? How can I keep my neighborhood safe? How can we restore law and order? But what if we started every day by saying, how can I make someone else's life better? How can I spend of myself to make things better for you and you? There's not actually people in the room. Honestly, I'm as flummoxed as the next guy by all this stuff. I don't have any real answers except that my hope won't be settled or sealed in November. My hope isn't dependent upon the next inauguration. My hope is truer. My hope is truer and more pure and deeper than any political conversation. There should be a Christian t-shirt that says I'm with him, but it points up to heaven. Man, I can make a killing on that, right? Get little wristbands that say it'd be IW. Oh, that could be I'm with her too. Oh, I guess you could go either way. My name's Stephen. Email me at Stephen@don'ttrustthisman.net. I'll talk about anything you want, as long as it's real. Until we're together, listen, just be nice. Be nice. It starts with your family. Be nice to the folks in your family. Then be nice to the folks at work. Then be nice to the folks you don't know. Just be nice tomorrow. Don't ask them who they're going to vote for. Just be nice to them first and sort it out later. My name's Stephen. Don't trust this man. Please don't ever trust me. But I'd love it if you listened and shared, if you want or not. Until we're together again, be well. Look at this. Look, watch, look. Look. Superman Clark Kent.